Let's take a closer look at these images because they truly caught my attention. In fact, one of them is one of my favorite works. Some images are not merely meant to be seen, they compel us to react. When in a portrait, the face is removed, when the eyes are covered with a ribbon or a soft fabric veils the entire face, we are no longer confronted with a simple aesthetic choice. Instead, we encounter a void that our mind restlessly tries to fill. Why? Because the face is the most fundamental element of human identity. From the earliest months of life, humans recognize one another through the face. Developmental psychology shows that even before infants understand language, they respond to eyes. The eye is the starting point of communication. The face is not merely a collection of biological features, it is the place where a person becomes recognized. When we see a face, we encounter a subject, someone who can see, respond, and resist. But what happens when the face disappears? The subject begins to move closer to becoming an object. Now, when we encounter an image with a beautiful body, a delicate dress, and a classical pose, but the face is absent, our mind experiences a rupture because we expect something very specific. Beauty equals identity. In fact, removing the face means removing the possibility of empathy. This is one of the interpretations that can be drawn from these works. For several days in a row, I kept looking at these images, trying to understand my own feelings and to put my thoughts clearly on paper so that I could use them to create this episode. I also spent some time searching through books and different articles so I could make this episode richer and more meaningful so that both my own curiosity and yours could be satisfied. Jacques Lacan, the French psychoanalyst, introduced the concept of the gaze as a fundamental structure in the experience of the subject. In Lacan's theory, we do not simply look. At the same time, we are also being looked at. The gaze is a two-way relationship. When I look at an image, the image on a symbolic level looks back at me. But what happens if there is no face? What if there is no eye to look back? In that moment, the reciprocal relationship breaks. The viewer is left alone. They look, but receive no response. In this situation, power shifts toward the viewer. The faceless woman can no longer return the gaze. She is placed in a position of absolute being looked at. And this is exactly the point where the concept of the male gaze becomes active. The body is seen, but the subject disappears. Now, there are actually 3 different interpretations of these works, 3 different ways of looking at them. Shame. In many cultures, covering the face has been associated with the idea of shame. The face is where emotions appear. Hiding it can be a sign of withdrawal or surrender. But is it always like this? Power. Sometimes the removal of the face can be a form of power. When the face is not visible, interpretation becomes limited. The other cannot read me. Facelessness can be a resistance to objectification. If you cannot read my face, you cannot possess me. In this sense, removing the face may not be a sign of weakness, but a form of control. Protest, covering the face, can also be a political gesture, a refusal to be seen within imposed frameworks. In a world that expects women to be beautiful, readable, and easily interpreted, facelessness can become a no to consumption, a no to simplification. But if I want to share my own opinion, to me this covering of the face appears more like a sign of violence. And this leads to an important question. How can softness become an instrument of domination? At first glance, there is no visible violence in these images. The fabrics are soft, the colors are gentle, the light is warm and noble, the poses are elegant and calm, but the face is missing, and this absence forces us to look again. because sometimes violence does not happen through shouting, but through silence, not through a blow, but through perfect order. This is what we might call soft violence, beauty used as a tool of domestication. Beauty has never been only an aesthetic experience. Beauty has a long history of normalization. In past centuries, especially within European aristocratic traditions, the image of the ideal woman was defined by three qualities: calm, delicate, harmless. The body had to be controlled. The posture had to be disciplined. Clothing had to shape the body modestly, yet restrain it. Within this framework, beauty becomes a tool for shaping behavior. A beautiful woman is a woman who is obedient, who does not raise her voice, whose presence is calming, not threatening. At this point, beauty transforms from a quality into an instruction. In these two images, the garments are extremely delicate. The fabrics are light and aristocratic, but the face is missing. Why? Because when the appearance is complete, identity can disappear without the absence immediately screaming for attention. Beauty functions like a curtain that hides the loss. We become so absorbed by the harmony of colors and textures that we fail to notice the disappearance of the subject. This is the logic of soft violence. Something is removed, but because everything is beautiful, protest remains silent. And now I want to share my favorite interpretation, the one that I feel is most closely connected to these works. One of the historical functions of feminine beauty has been to turn women into a harmless presence. Soft beauty moves women away from the sphere of active power and into the sphere of observation. She is seen, but she does not act. She is admired, but she does not decide. When the face disappears, this transformation becomes complete. She can no longer return the gaze. Beauty remains. Power shifts. This episode has now come to an end, but the next episode will continue this discussion. In the next one, I will analyze more artworks and explore a central question. Has art history turned women into decorative objects? This will be the main theme of the next episode. Follow the channel and share your thoughts with me.